breaking the monolith. It's the same thing every day. June stands in the lunch line, waiting for the same sandwich, listening to her friend Meg's latest scheduling dilemma. June stifles a sigh as Meg talks about balancing her honors Spanish with Algebra I. "You'll figure it out," June says distractedly. "Want to join that volunteer day this weekend?" "I'm padding my resume." Meg shakes her head. "Can't. I have a SAT practice run." Their friendship is more one of convenience than closeness. They sit at their usual spot under the big shady tree, watching their high school's social scene unfold in the courtyard. June's attention, as always, lands on Bailey, who seems to glide through life effortlessly, floating from one group to another with an easy laugh. Meg notices and nudges her. "Stop ogling. Seriously, it's getting pathetic. Talk to her already." "I don't ogle and I'm not interested," June insists. But her eyes keep drifting back to Bailey. The school day ends and June heads to the pickup circle. She's long since grown accustomed to waiting for her dad, who's perpetually late. She takes a seat on what she considers her bench, only to find it occupied by none other than Bailey. "Did I steal your bench or something?" Bailey asks with a teasing smile. Caught off guard, June stammers. "Not if you're just sitting on it." Bailey laughs, a warm, relaxed sound, and scoots over. "Waiting on someone?" "Yeah, my dad," June replies, noting the metallic taste in her mouth that seems to come with Bailey's laugh. They chat a little, Bailey trying to get June to open up. June stays guarded, but she finds herself drawn to Bailey's warmth and openness. "I'm Bailey, by the way. But you probably know that." June nods. "Yeah, and I'm June. Sorry, I'm really bad at talking." Bailey laughs. "We're not strangers, really. We're all going through the same stuff here. High school's like that. Everyone's just figuring it out." June scoffs. "Not really. Everyone's in their own little world with their own stuff. How can we be the same?" Bailey just grins as her mom arrives, calling out a cheerful goodbye that leaves June smiling to herself. The next day in the cafeteria, June and Meg are back under the tree. Bailey waves from across the courtyard, and June gives a sheepish wave back, surprising Meg. "We talked yesterday," June explains, trying to act casual, though she feels anything but. In their shared fifth period class, Bailey sends June a note. "Hey, I'm just writing this to say hi. Since we're no longer strangers, winky face Bailey." June's cheeks flush as she tries to write back without getting noticed. But her teacher catches her, confiscates the note, and sentences both of them to detention. June bristles at the idea of missing her SAT prep, but Bailey seems oddly pleased. They sit across from each other in the otherwise silent cafeteria, both quiet until Bailey breaks the ice with a grin. "Sorry again about the detention. Want me to teach you the art of passing notes?" June tries to stay annoyed, but she can't help but smile. They talk about everything and nothing. Bailey's love for poetry, June's college goals, and their shared frustration with small-town life. "You know, it's like you're constantly trying to escape," Bailey observes. "Maybe try finding a way to be here without letting it trap you." June thinks about that as Bailey waves goodbye, leaving her with a warmth she can't shake. The next day, Bailey joins June and Meg under the tree, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. They share sandwiches and stories, with Bailey's easy laughter lightening the air. And as they sit together, June realizes that maybe she doesn't have to choose between her dreams and her friendships. For the first time, she sees high school as less of a sentence and more of a journey shared, one she doesn't have to navigate alone. Over the next few weeks, Bailey becomes a regular under the big tree, joining June and Meg for lunch. Meg seems unsure at first, but Bailey's friendly energy soon melts away her reservations. The three girls fall into an easy rhythm, sharing jokes, study tips, and even planning a few volunteer projects together. June notices a shift in herself too. She's still dedicated to her studies, still mapping her path to college like a blueprint she can't afford to lose, but the urgency feels less suffocating. She has started to linger after school on Fridays, just to spend an extra few minutes with Bailey if they both find themselves waiting for a ride. Those minutes become small rituals, little pauses in her day that fill her with a quiet, unexpected joy. One Friday, as they sit on the bench watching the sunset stain the parking lot in orange and pink, Bailey turns to June and asks, "What's the first thing you'll do when you leave this town?" June considers the question so big and open that it's almost overwhelming. "Honestly, I just want to be somewhere that feels different. A place where I don't know anyone, and no one knows me." She smiles a little. "Somewhere where everything doesn't feel so decided." Bailey nods, her gaze steady. "I get that. But you might end up somewhere new and still feel like everything's decided. It's not really about the place. It's the people that make a difference." She pauses, her expression thoughtful. "I used to think I'd go to art school in a big city. New York, maybe. I thought I'd have to leave everything behind to be myself. But I don't feel that way so much anymore." June's eyes widen. "Really? But you're so, here," she says, feeling awkward. "You seem like you belong in every room you walk into." Bailey laughs softly. "I don't feel that way, not all the time. Being here can feel like wearing clothes that are a bit too tight. You start to wonder if anyone really knows who you are." She hesitates, then adds, "Sometimes it's like you're just acting out everyone's idea of you." June feels her throat tighten at that. Bailey's words hit close to home. She's spent so long thinking that everyone has her all figured out, pigeonholing her as the intense overachiever, that she didn't realize Bailey might feel the same way. They sit in comfortable silence, watching the clouds drift lazily through the sky, both lost in thought. In the weeks that follow, the girls grow even closer. They spend Saturdays volunteering together, study together in the library, and sometimes sneak notes in class, without getting caught this time. June finds herself confiding in Bailey in ways she's never done with anyone before. One day after school, as they walk together down the empty hallway, Bailey stops, her voice barely above a whisper. "June, do you ever feel like maybe you don't have to have it all planned out right now?" June blinks, surprised. She opens her mouth to answer, but Bailey's gaze is so earnest, so vulnerable, that she falters. I don't know. I've always felt like if I didn't plan everything, I'd get stuck here. Like I'd end up following a path someone else laid out for me." Bailey gives her a soft smile. "But what if the path is something you can create as you go?" June is silent, mulling this over, and for the first time the future doesn't feel so daunting. Feels open. The year speeds by, and by the time June looks up, spring has rolled in and prom season is everywhere. Meg is buzzing with excitement, talking nonstop about dress shopping, corsages, and who's going with whom. June tries to keep up, but prom has never been a priority for her. Until one day Bailey surprises her in the courtyard, holding a small white envelope. "June, I was wondering if you'd go to prom with me?" Bailey asks, her cheeks tinged pink. June stares at the envelope, then at Bailey, her heart fluttering in her chest. It takes her a moment to process what Bailey is asking, but when she does, her face breaks into a wide smile. "I'd love to," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. Prom night arrives and June's nerves are a bundle of electricity as she gets ready, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. When Bailey arrives at her door, looking radiant in a navy dress that brings out her eyes, June feels her breath hitch. The evening is a whirlwind of music, laughter, and lights. Bailey's hand in hers feels warm and steady, grounding her as they dance and laugh together. For the first time, June feels like she's truly part of something, surrounded by people who accept her. As she is, no expectations, no labels. As the night draws to a close, Bailey leads her outside, away from the crowd. They sit on the bleachers overlooking the football field, the sounds of prom music drifting through the open doors. "Tonight was perfect," June whispers. Bailey squeezes her hand. "It was." She looks at June, a twinkle in her eye. "You know, this might sound cheesy, but I feel like I could go anywhere, as long as I have moments like this." June laughs, feeling lighter than she ever has. "Same. And I think I'm finally okay with not knowing what comes next." They sit in silence, watching the stars above, feeling like maybe they have all the time in the world to figure it out together. The months that follow prom feel like they're moving at double speed, as if time itself is in a hurry to see June and Bailey off to the next chapter of their lives. Finals come and go, senior traditions pass in a blur, and soon they're walking across the stage at graduation. June feels a mix of relief and apprehension as she takes her diploma, wondering what comes next and if she's truly ready for it. But she doesn't feel alone. She can see Bailey beaming at her from her seat, and that's enough. Over the summer, June and Bailey spend nearly every day together. They take long drives to nowhere, explore hidden trails, and watch sunsets from quiet hillsides. It feels like they're soaking up every last bit of home before they go off into the world. Sometimes Meg joins them, and the three fall into a familiar rhythm that feels almost timeless. June realizes she's grown closer to Meg too, in a way she hadn't anticipated. They'd always been friends out of scarcity, as she once put it, but now it feels genuine. One evening, as June and Bailey sit by the lake, Bailey turns to her with an expression that's a mix of excitement and uncertainty. "I got in," she says quietly, almost as if saying it any louder would make it less real. June's eyes widen. "In? You mean art school?" Bailey nods, biting her lip to contain a smile. "In New York. I didn't think I'd actually go through with it, but I feel like I have to give it a try." June's heart races. She's overjoyed for Bailey, but a pang of worry strikes her too. They'd both talked about leaving, about forging their own paths, but somehow June had assumed they'd still be close. New York feels so far away. Bailey seems to sense her hesitation. She reaches over, taking June's hand. "I know it's a big change, but I'll come back to visit. And we can call, text. It doesn't have to change things between us." June smiles, squeezing Bailey's hand. "Of course. I want you to go, to live your dream. I'm so proud of you, Bailey. And besides," she takes a deep breath, "I got into Northwestern." Bailey's eyes light up. "June, that's amazing." They sit there, watching the fading sunlight ripple across the lake. June feels the weight of their separate futures settling around them, but it isn't as daunting as she once imagined. Instead, it feels exciting. A new adventure they'll both undertake, even if from different cities. The summer drifts by, and soon they're standing at the airport saying goodbye. June clings to Bailey, memorizing the feel of her arms around her and the scent of her hair. It's the hardest goodbye June has ever had to say, but she knows it's not forever. As Bailey boards her plane, she turns back to wave, a bright smile on her face, as if to remind June that she'll be just a call away. College is a whirlwind of new faces, late nights, and endless classes, but June finds herself more confident than she ever expected. She makes new friends, explores the city, and pours herself into her studies. And she and Bailey keep in touch, just as they promised. They text every day, call when they can, and sometimes even video chat late into the night, sharing stories and laughing until they're both breathless. One weekend in October, Bailey flies in to visit June. The reunion is electric. They pick up right where they left off, exploring Chicago and laughing about old times as they navigate new memories together. As they sit under the stars on the shore of Lake Michigan, Bailey takes June's hand and looks at her with the same warmth she did that night at prom. "You know, I don't think distance really changes anything between us," Bailey says softly. "I think we're just meant to be here for each other no matter what." June nods, her heart swelling. "I think so too." And as they sit there, wrapped in each other's presence, June realizes that no matter where they go, they'll always find their way back to one another. They're each other's anchor in a world full of change, a constant she can count on, even as she steps forward into the unknown.